Welcome back to our channel Rare Coins Collections, where we take deep dives into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we're uncovering the mystery behind one of the most intriguing finds for collectors, the United States Roosevelt Silver 1 dime from 1974. While most of these dimes are not worth much, there's a rare version of this coin that's attracting attention and could be worth a small fortune. So, if you're holding on to a 1974 Roosevelt dime, or if you happen to stumble upon one, stick around to learn why this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth something extraordinary. The Roosevelt dime has a long and storied history, first introduced in 1946 to honor the late U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It quickly became a staple of American currency, a familiar coin that we've all seen in circulation countless times. What makes the 1974 version special, though, is tied to a unique set of circumstances that occurred during the minting process, which has created a rare version that is highly coveted by collectors today. As many of you know, coins can vary dramatically in value depending on a variety of factors. Minting errors, unique characteristics, and historical significance all play a role. The standard 1974 Roosevelt dime is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, which was typical for U.S. coins minted after 1965. However, in 1974, there were some minor inconsistencies in the production process that led to certain dimes being created with features that are more valuable than others. Now, when it comes to coin collecting, condition is key. As with many collectible items, a coin in pristine condition is far more valuable than one that's been heavily circulated or damaged over time. A 1974 Roosevelt dime in excellent condition could fetch a good price. But the real value lies in a specific version of this coin, a coin that wasn't intended to be released in this particular form. This is where things get really exciting. Some of the 1974 dimes were mistakenly struck with the wrong type of metal composition, leaving behind coins that are considered to be silver dimes rather than the usual copper-nickel mix. Silver dimes were the standard until 1964, and any coin that contains silver, especially one from the 1970s, is extremely valuable in the coin collecting world. The fact that these silver versions of the 1974 dime exist, albeit in small numbers, makes them exceptionally rare. To put things into perspective, imagine going to your local coin shop and finding a 1974 dime that looks just like any other dime you've seen, but you notice it's made of silver instead of the usual copper-nickel blend. These silver dimes can be worth thousands of dollars, depending on their condition, rarity, and whether they were struck with any additional errors during the minting process. Collectors are especially on the lookout for these rare silver dimes because they represent an anomaly in U.S. coin history. There's a huge demand for coins with unusual characteristics, such as this 1974 silver dime, and the fact that these coins are so rare makes them even more desirable. Not only does it represent a small mistake in the minting process, but it also serves as a reminder of the time when silver was still a key component in U.S. coinage. But wait, there's more to the story. These silver 1974 Roosevelt dimes are often accompanied by another factor that increases their value: mint errors. Sometimes, during the minting process, a coin can be struck with imperfections, whether it's a misalignment of the design, a doubling of numbers, or even a strange marking on the coin's surface. These mint errors are highly prized by collectors, who see them as rare, one-of-a-kind pieces of history. A 1974 Roosevelt dime with a mint error could increase the coin's worth exponentially, depending on how unusual or rare the error is. So, let's talk about the specifics of this coin. How do you identify if you have one of these rare silver 1974 Roosevelt dimes? First, you'll need to check the weight and composition. A standard 1974 dime weighs about 2.27 grams and has a copper-nickel clad composition. A silver 1974 dime, however, will weigh approximately 2.5 grams and will have a much more distinct appearance due to the higher silver content. You can also use a magnet to check if the coin is magnetic. The standard copper-nickel coin won't be attracted to a magnet, but the silver coin will not be magnetic at all. Another way to identify the rare silver version is by examining the edges of the coin. While a normal 1974 Roosevelt dime will have a copper-colored edge, the silver version will show a more white and metallic color around the edge. This is because of the higher silver content in the coin, which stands out against the usual copper-nickel clad design. The 1974 silver Roosevelt dime, despite being a rare find, isn't the only factor that can affect its value. Condition, or the grade of the coin, plays a major role. A coin that has been well preserved, free from scratches or damage, will fetch a much higher price than one that has been heavily circulated. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin with no imperfections. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. So, now for the most exciting part. How much can you expect to make from a 1974 Roosevelt silver dime? If you've got one of these rare silver dimes in excellent condition, you might be sitting on a small fortune. The value of these coins can vary, but some of the best examples have sold for as much as $90,000. That's right, $90,000 for a single dime. This could be a game-changer for any collector who stumbles upon one of these elusive silver coins. In conclusion, while most 1974 Roosevelt dimes are worth just a few cents, the rare silver versions are a hidden treasure for collectors. With their unique history, mint errors, and silver composition, these coins represent a fascinating part of U.S. coinage. Today, we have something really exciting to talk about: the United States Roosevelt Silver 1 dime from 1984. At first glance, this may seem like just another dime in the series, but if you look a little closer, you might realize that this coin has a fascinating story to tell, and it could be worth a fortune. Stick around as we explore the history, rarity, and value of this particular dime, and find out just how much it could be worth today. Now, the Roosevelt dime has been a staple of American currency since its introduction in 1946, just after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The dime features a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse side, while the reverse side showcases a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of unity, peace, and strength. This design has become iconic, representing much of the resilience and spirit of the United States. But did you know that while most Roosevelt dimes are worth just 10 cents, a rare 1984 version could be worth far more? Let's first take a closer look at the minting process in 1984. The United States Mint was churning out millions of dimes that year, and most of them were produced using the standard copper-nickel composition that has been used in dimes since 1965. However, what many don't realize is that some special versions of these dimes were made, and they have unique features that make them highly valuable. One of the key factors in determining the value of these coins is the material they're made from, and in the case of the 1984 Roosevelt dime, there's a hidden gem waiting to be uncovered: silver. You see, most dimes from the 1980s, including the 1984 edition, are typically made of a copper-nickel blend. However, there's a small number of 1984 Roosevelt dimes that were struck with a higher silver content, making them a rare find among modern coins. These silver dimes are incredibly valuable, and they can command much higher prices than the standard copper-nickel versions. But how do you know if you have one of these silver dimes? That's the million-dollar question. The silver 1984 dimes were not intended to be produced in mass, and it's only because of a small but significant mistake during the minting process that some of these coins were struck with the wrong composition. Instead of the typical copper-nickel mixture, these dimes were mistakenly struck with a silver alloy. These silver dimes were accidentally mixed in with the regular dimes and entered circulation, creating a rare coin that collectors are now eager to find. To identify if you have one of these rare silver dimes, you'll need to perform a few checks. First, the most obvious indicator is weight. A regular copper-nickel 1984 dime weighs around 2.27 grams, while a silver dime will weigh slightly more, about 2.5 grams. This small difference in weight is due to the higher density of silver compared to copper-nickel. You can also check the color of the coin. Silver dimes have a much brighter, whiter color compared to the usual copper-nickel clad dimes. This gives the silver dimes a distinct appearance that's easy to spot once you know what to look for. Another useful tool for identifying silver dimes is a magnet. While a copper-nickel dime will not be attracted to a magnet, a silver dime will not be attracted at all. This can be a quick and easy way to confirm if you have a silver dime in your collection. The magnet test can help you avoid any confusion between the two types of dimes, and it's a great way to identify whether your 1984 dime is worth more than just its face value. But wait, there's more to it. As with many rare coins, the value of a silver 1984 Roosevelt dime can vary depending on several factors, including its condition and whether it has any unique mint errors. A coin that is in pristine, uncirculated condition will be worth significantly more than one that has been heavily circulated and shows signs of wear. Just like with other collectible coins, the higher the grade of the coin, the more valuable it is. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin with no imperfections. A 1984 silver Roosevelt dime in mint condition could be worth much more than a worn version that's been in circulation for decades. Mint errors can also add to the value of a coin. Sometimes, during the minting process, mistakes happen that create unique variations of the coin. This could include things like a misaligned strike, double strikes, or other errors that make the coin stand out. Collectors are always on the lookout for these error coins because they are extremely rare and often carry a premium price. If you have a 1984 silver Roosevelt dime with an error, you could be sitting on a much more valuable coin than you might have originally thought. So, what is the value of a 1984 silver Roosevelt dime if you happen to have one in your collection? While the value can vary depending on the condition, rarity, and any mint errors, the most valuable 1984 silver dimes have been known to fetch impressive prices. If you have one of these rare silver dimes in uncirculated condition, especially if it has a mint error or unique feature, you could be looking at a coin worth as much as $95,000. That's right, $95,000 for a single 1984 Roosevelt silver dime. It's important to remember that while most 1984 dimes are worth just their face value of 10 cents, these silver dimes are a hidden treasure that many collectors would love to get their hands on. If you've been collecting coins for a while, or if you've just inherited an old jar of change, it's definitely worth taking the time to go through your dimes and see if you have any of these rare silver versions. With the right tools and a little bit of knowledge, you might just find a coin that could change your financial future. In conclusion, while the 1984 Roosevelt dime might not seem like anything special at first, the rare silver versions of this coin are incredibly valuable and highly sought after by collectors. The unique combination of silver content, minting errors, and historical significance makes this coin a hidden gem that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. If you happen to have a 1984 Roosevelt silver dime in your collection, or if you come across one in the future, make sure to check its composition, condition, and any possible mint errors. You might just be holding on to a coin worth an astounding amount of money. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of US coinage, and I've got something truly extraordinary to share with you. If you're a collector or even just someone who loves learning about rare and valuable coins, you're in for a treat. We're talking about the 1985 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime. This coin, though it may seem like just another dime in the series at first glance, actually holds the potential to be worth a small fortune. So, if you happen to have one of these in your collection, or if you come across one in your pocket change, you might want to stop and take a second look, because it could be worth way more than 10 cents. Now, let's start by talking about the Roosevelt dime in general. This coin has been a part of the American currency landscape since 1946, introduced in honor of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in that year. His portrait graces the obverse, front, side of the coin, and on the reverse, you'll find a design that features a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of unity, peace, and strength. Over the years, the Roosevelt dime has become one of the most widely recognized coins in the US, so it's safe to say most people are familiar with it. But today, we're focusing on a very specific version of the Roosevelt dime, the one minted in 1985. While the majority of these coins are composed of the standard copper-nickel blend that's been used since 1965, there's a small but incredibly important group of 1985 dimes that were made with silver. And here's where things get interesting. These silver dimes are far more valuable than you might think, and they can command a price that might just blow your mind. Let's take a step back and understand a bit about how this happened. By 1985, the US Mint had transitioned to using a copper-nickel clad composition for most of its coins, including the Roosevelt dime. However, there was a small and rare set of dimes minted with silver, due to a mix-up during the production process. The silver version of the 1985 Roosevelt dime is extremely rare, and these errors are what make them so valuable. So, how do you know if you have one of these rare silver dimes? Well, it comes down to a few key characteristics. First, the most noticeable difference is in the weight of the coin. A regular copper-nickel dime weighs 2.27 grams, while a silver dime will weigh slightly more, around 2.5 grams. This difference is due to the higher density of silver compared to the copper-nickel composition, so you can use a scale to check the weight of your dime. If it's heavier than usual, you may have a silver dime on your hands. Another way to identify a silver 1985 Roosevelt dime is by the color. Regular copper-nickel dimes have a darker, more reddish-brown tint, while silver dimes have a much lighter, brighter, and more metallic appearance. The color of the silver dime will stand out from the usual copper-nickel blend, and you'll easily be able to tell the difference once you hold them side by side. If you don't have a scale or are unsure about the color difference, you can also use a magnet. Copper-nickel dimes are non-magnetic, but a silver dime will not be attracted to a magnet either. While this may seem like a strange test, it's a reliable way to confirm the composition of the coin. Now, let's talk about the minting process in 1985. At the time, the US Mint had been churning out millions of dimes every year, and the coinage was being produced quickly to keep up with the demands of the economy. The mistake that led to these rare silver dimes was an unintentional mix-up in the metal used to strike the coins. This mistake is exactly what makes these silver 1985 dimes so valuable. Because they were struck with silver by mistake, they are considered mint errors, which is something every serious coin collector is always on the lookout for. Mint errors, no matter how small, can significantly increase the value of a coin. These errors can range from simple misprints to more complex issues like double strikes, off-center strikes, and in this case, the wrong metal composition. Collectors are constantly searching for these rare error coins, and because they are unique, they tend to be worth a lot more than the regular versions of the same coin. A silver 1985 Roosevelt dime is a prime example of this type of valuable error coin. So, if you've managed to find one of these silver dimes, you're probably wondering how much it could be worth. Well, the value of these coins can vary based on several factors, including their condition, whether they have any additional minting errors, and how rare the specific coin is. The general rule with coins is that the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that have been well preserved, with little to no wear, will be worth more than those that have been heavily circulated or damaged over time. Coin collectors also love to get their hands on coins that are in mint, or uncirculated, condition, which means they've been kept in perfect condition from the moment they were struck by the US Mint. The higher the grade of the coin, the more valuable it is. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. A 1985 Roosevelt silver dime in uncirculated condition could be worth a lot more than one that has been circulating in change for decades. And let's not forget about any mint errors that might exist on your coin. If your 1985 silver dime has any unusual markings, misprints, or other characteristics that set it apart from others, you might have a true gem on your hands. These mint errors are what truly make a coin valuable, as they are often the result of rare mistakes during the minting process. So, just how much can you expect to get for a 1985 Roosevelt silver dime? Well, if you have one of these rare dimes in excellent condition, especially if it's a mint error or has a unique feature, you could be looking at a coin worth as much as $85,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $85,000 for a single dime. This is what makes these silver 1985 Roosevelt dimes so special. Despite the fact that dimes are generally worth just 10 cents, this rare error coin could change your life if you happen to find one. In conclusion, while most 1985 Roosevelt dimes are fairly standard and only worth a few cents, those rare silver versions are a hidden treasure that many collectors are eager to find. These silver dimes are highly valuable due to their rarity, minting errors, and the fact that they contain silver, a metal that's always been prized by collectors and investors alike. Today, we have something very special for you, a coin that's often overlooked but could be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. That's right, we're talking about the United States Roosevelt Silver 1 dime from 1993. This particular dime might seem like just another coin from the series, but trust me, this dime has a secret. It has a story that goes beyond its face value, and we're going to take you on a journey to discover just how much it could be worth today. Let's start with the basics. The Roosevelt dime has been a part of American currency since 1946, when it was first introduced in memory of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in that year. The design features a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse side, and the reverse showcases a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbols of unity, peace, and strength. Over the years, this coin has become a staple in American circulation, with millions of them produced and used daily for everyday transactions. Now, by 1993, the Roosevelt dime had already become a familiar coin in the wallets of Americans. However, this particular year is special for a couple of reasons. Most dimes produced in 1993 were struck with the usual copper-nickel alloy that has been used for the dimes since 1965. But here's where things get interesting. A small number of these dimes were struck with a different, rarer material, silver. These silver dimes are incredibly rare, and they have a much higher value than the regular copper-nickel versions. How did this happen? Well, in 1993, the U.S. Mint was still producing the regular dimes with a copper-nickel composition. However, due to a mistake in the minting process, a few of these 1993 dimes were struck with a silver alloy instead. This mistake created a limited number of silver dimes that were unintentionally mixed into the regular production run and eventually entered circulation. These silver dimes were not intended to be released, but the mint error resulted in a rare and valuable coin that collectors would later seek out. So, how do you know if you have one of these rare silver 1993 dimes? There are a few key indicators that can help you identify if you have stumbled upon a coin that could be worth much more than its face value. The most noticeable difference between a silver dime and a regular copper-nickel dime is the weight. A standard copper-nickel dime weighs about 2.27 grams, but a silver dime weighs slightly more, approximately 2.5 grams. This weight difference is due to the higher density of silver, so if you have a scale handy, you can easily determine whether your dime contains silver. Another way to identify a silver 1993 Roosevelt dime is by its color. Regular copper-nickel dimes tend to have a reddish-brown tint, while silver dimes have a much brighter, shinier appearance with a silvery, almost white color. If you compare a silver dime to a copper-nickel dime, you'll instantly notice the difference. The silver dime will appear much lighter and have a metallic sheen that's quite distinct. If you don't have a scale or are unsure about the color difference, there's a quick test you can perform using a magnet. Copper-nickel dimes are non-magnetic, but silver is also non-magnetic. If your dime is not attracted to a magnet, it might be made of silver. While this test is not always foolproof, it's a simple and quick way to help you determine whether you have a silver dime or not. Now that we've established how to identify a silver 1993 Roosevelt dime, let's talk about why these silver dimes are so valuable. First, we need to understand that coins made with errors, especially those that are rare, can be worth a lot more than their face value. Mint errors are highly sought after by collectors because they are unique and difficult to find. Even though these silver dimes were accidentally struck with the wrong alloy, they are still considered to be a legitimate error coin, which makes them incredibly valuable. When it comes to coin values, the condition of the coin plays a huge role. A coin that's been heavily circulated and shows signs of wear will not fetch as much as a coin that's been kept in pristine, uncirculated condition. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have been well preserved, as they are much more valuable than those that have been damaged or worn down. If you have a 1993 silver Roosevelt dime in mint or uncirculated condition, you're sitting on something special. So, what makes a coin in mint condition so much more valuable? Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A coin that has been carefully stored in a protective holder, free from scratches, wear, or discoloration, will be considered in excellent condition and will fetch a much higher price than one that has been used in circulation. But it's not just the condition of the coin that can affect its value. Coins with minting errors, such as the rare silver 1993 dimes, are especially valuable. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, and the result is a coin that differs from the typical version. Mint errors are highly collectible, and they can dramatically increase the value of a coin. In the case of the 1993 silver Roosevelt dime, the error was a mistake in the composition, and this small error has turned into a goldmine for collectors. If you happen to have a silver 1993 Roosevelt dime, you might be wondering just how much it's worth. Well, after all the factors we've discussed, rarity, condition, and potential minting errors, the value of these rare dimes can vary. But if you have one in exceptional condition, you could be looking at a coin worth as much as $84,000. That's right, $84,000 for a single dime. Imagine finding one of these coins in your collection or in a jar of loose change. It's a true treasure that could change your life. In summary, while most 1993 Roosevelt dimes are worth only 10 cents, the silver versions are an entirely different story. These rare dimes are highly valuable because of their unique composition and the minting error that resulted in their creation. If you happen to have one of these silver dimes in your collection, or if you come across one, take a moment to inspect it closely. It could be worth much more than you ever imagined. Always remember that in the world of coin collecting, rarity, condition, and mint errors are key factors in determining a coin's value. So, if you think you might have found one of these rare silver dimes, make sure to check it out. You might just be holding on to a small fortune. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a coin that, despite being a part of everyday U.S. currency, could be worth a small fortune. We're talking about the 1994 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime. At first glance, it might look just like any other dime you'd find in your pocket change, but there's so much more to this little coin than meets the eye. So, if you've ever wondered how a dime can be worth more than its face value, stick around until the end of the video, because you might be in for a surprising discovery. Let's begin with a quick refresher on the Roosevelt dime itself. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing, this coin has been an integral part of U.S. currency for decades. Featuring a portrait of Roosevelt on the front, and a reverse design that displays a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, the Roosevelt dime is a powerful symbol of peace, unity, and strength. It's one of those coins most of us are so familiar with that we don't always give it a second thought, often just using it for day-to-day purchases or keeping a few in our pockets for small transactions. However, when you dig deeper into the history of the Roosevelt dime, you'll find that certain years, such as 1994, hold a significant place in the world of rare and valuable coins. In 1994, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Roosevelt dimes, but the key factor we're focusing on today is that a small number of these coins were struck with silver. Now, you might be thinking, wait, don't dimes contain silver? Well, yes and no. Starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition for its dimes and other coins to help save on costs, as the price of silver had risen dramatically. But in 1994, just like in some previous years, a few dimes were accidentally struck with silver, creating an incredibly rare version of the coin. It's important to understand that the Roosevelt dimes of 1994 were primarily made from copper and nickel, but there were some special silver versions that made it into circulation. These silver dimes were produced due to a mistake during the minting process, resulting in a limited number of these silver coins being created and mixed in with the regular copper-nickel dimes. This unintentional error has made these particular 1994 Roosevelt dimes highly sought after by collectors, who are always on the lookout for mint errors and coins with unique features. So, how do you tell the difference between a regular copper-nickel dime and one made from silver? Well, it's actually quite simple once you know what to look for. First, there's the weight. A regular copper-nickel dime weighs approximately 2.27 grams, while a silver dime weighs a little bit more, about 2.5 grams. The difference in weight is due to the density of silver, which is heavier than the copper-nickel alloy. If you have a scale handy, you can weigh your 1994 dime and quickly determine if it contains silver. Another easy way to spot a silver dime is by its appearance. Regular copper-nickel dimes have a slightly reddish-brown color, while silver dimes have a bright, shiny metallic appearance that gives them a silver-white look. The difference is noticeable, especially if you compare the two side by side. If you see a dime that looks brighter and shinier than usual, chances are it's made from silver. If you don't have a scale or are unsure about the color difference, there's a quick test you can perform with a magnet. Copper-nickel coins are non-magnetic, but silver is also non-magnetic, so if your dime isn't attracted to a magnet, it could potentially be made of silver. However, this test alone isn't a foolproof way to confirm silver, so it's always best to rely on the weight or appearance of the coin. Now that we know how to identify a silver 1994 Roosevelt dime, let's talk about what makes these coins so special in the world of coin collecting. The primary reason why these silver dimes are valuable is the rarity factor. Mint errors are highly prized among collectors because they are not something you can find just anywhere. These errors occur during the minting process, and when they do, they often result in unique and one-of-a-kind coins that can't be replicated. As a result, error coins like the silver 1994 Roosevelt dime can demand significantly higher prices on the market. In addition to the rarity of these silver dimes, their value is also influenced by their condition. A coin's condition is graded based on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. The better the condition of the coin, the more valuable it is. Coins that have been well preserved, without scratches, discoloration, or damage, will fetch a higher price than those that have been worn down from years of circulation. If you happen to have a 1994 silver Roosevelt dime that's been carefully stored and protected, you're in luck, as its value could be much higher than a dime that's been heavily circulated. But don't think that just because a coin is in good condition, it's automatically worth a lot of money. When it comes to error coins, the rarity and uniqueness of the minting mistake play a huge role in determining the value. If your 1994 Roosevelt silver dime has any additional errors, such as misprints, off-center strikes, or other defects, that could increase its worth even further. Collectors are especially interested in coins that have multiple errors, as these are even rarer and more valuable than single-error coins. So, how much could you expect to get for a silver 1994 Roosevelt dime? Well, based on all the factors we've discussed, the rarity, the condition, the potential minting errors, if you have one of these rare silver dimes in top condition, it could be worth as much as $75,000. Yes, you read that correctly. $75,000 for a single dime. That's the incredible potential that these silver dimes hold. If you've been lucky enough to find one of these coins, or if you've had one sitting in your collection for years, it could be worth a small fortune. To recap, the silver 1994 Roosevelt dimes are valuable because of their rarity, their unique composition due to a minting error, and their high demand among collectors. If you come across one of these dimes or happen to already have one, make sure to examine it closely. It could be the treasure you've been looking for. Whether it's the weight, the color, or the potential for minting errors, always pay attention to the details of your coins, as those details can make all the difference when it comes to their value. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about hidden treasures in your own collection, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You never know what rare gems you might have waiting for you. Until next time, happy collecting!